Today's reading, Luke 22:54-62. The third time Jesus said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. John 21:17. Of saints and sinners. Before she followed in the footsteps of John the Baptist by living in the desert, Mary of Egypt, AD 344-421, spent her youth pursuing illicit pleasures and seducing men. At the height of her sordid career, she journeyed to Jerusalem in an attempt to corrupt pilgrims. Instead, she experienced the deep conviction of her sins and thereafter lived a life of repentance and solitude in the wilderness. Mary's radical transformation illustrates the magnitude of God's grace and the restoring power of the cross. The disciple Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Only hours before the denials, Peter had declared his willingness to die for Jesus, Luke 22:33. So the realization of his failure was a crushing blow, verses 61-62. After Jesus' death and resurrection, Peter was fishing with some of the disciples when Jesus appeared to them. Jesus gave Peter a chance to declare his love for him 3 times, one for each of his denials, John 21:1-3. Then, with each declaration, Jesus charged Peter to care for his people, verses 15-17. The result of this stunning display of grace was that Peter played a key role in building the church and ultimately gave his life for Christ. A biography of any of us could begin with a litany of our failures and defeats. But God's grace always allows for a different ending. By His grace, He redeems and transforms us. In what ways have you experienced God's transforming grace? How can you express His grace toward others? God's grace transforms us from sinners to saints.